Super Bowl Sunday. This is a college football channel. Whenever I talk about the NFL, I 100 comments. Oh, I don't watch the NFL. I hate the NFL. Forget the NFL. Boycott the NFL. Fine. That's fine. I don't watch the NFL religiously, just because I like college football better, but I've watched a lot of the NFL playoffs. I watch some regular season game. It really has to interest me. Either it has to be like a big regular season game that interests me for some particular reason, or I just have to be sitting around on a Sunday completely bored, and then I'll watch regular season football. But I mean, I'm more of a college fan too. But it's Super Bowl Sunday. I am gonna watch the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't understand how any red-blooded American male sits around on Super Bowl Sunday and does anything other than watch the Super Bowl. So that's what I'll be doing. I'm going to stream the Super Bowl too on the Patreon page. So those of you who are over on the Patreon page, just like with the college football games, I'll post a link on Patreon around 6 or 6:15. Just click the link. It'll take you to the stream. If you're not on the Patreon page and you want to be, just click the link in the description of this video that says something about the Patreon page. It'll take you over there. Lou Jr. has a soccer game today in Columbia at 2. 1:30 or 2, something like that. We're leaving about 10:30. And then when I get back, I'll be back in time for the start of the Super Bowl. I'm 99% sure. If the link's not posted right at 6:15, don't freak out. It just means I'm running a little late, but I will be streaming the Super Bowl on the Patreon page. And of course, the halftime show. I've heard from a lot of people that just said, I'm not going to watch the Super Bowl, but about an hour and a half after it starts, I'll tune in to check out the halftime show. Anybody my age, anywhere around my age, how old am I, 43? Jesus, yes, 43. I'll be 44 in May. My God. I'm old. You're excited about the Super Bowl if you're anywhere near my age. Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and Eminem. I don't, I'm not that big of fans of the other two. Mary J. Blige and Kendrick Lamar. Mary J. Blige, no doubt one of the all-time greatest female hip-hop artists of all time, without question. I've just never been, a huge fan. And same with Kendrick Lamar. But the other three, I mean, it should be a great it should be a great halftime show, I would think. So I'm excited for that too. As far as the game goes, a couple of things I want to discuss here. First off, I don't know if rooting for the Rams is the right way to pull it or put it, or pulling for the Rams. In the beginning of every season, I make pointless Super Bowl predictions, and I picked the Rams to win the Super Bowl in the preseason, mainly just because Matthew Stafford got traded there from the Lions, and of course Matthew Stafford played for Georgia back in the late 2000s, and then, got banished to the nether realm known as Detroit for his entire career up until this season when he's with the Rams. And they have a loaded team. There's no question they got a loaded team. And, they've made it to the Super Bowl. So, I'm happy for Stafford after wasting away in Detroit. I mean, Stafford was good. People like to point to his record against winning teams or playoff teams or whatever. It was Detroit, okay? It was Detroit. I think it was the fastest quarterback ever to 40,000 yards, Matt Stafford. He's a good quarterback. And, people don't want, he's probably a Hall of Famer. He's probably a Hall of Famer. Let me ask you this. If the Rams win the Super Bowl today, if Matt Stafford wins the Super Bowl today, would you put him ahead or behind Dan Marino? Answer that question down below. Dan Marino, of course, probably the greatest quarterback to never win a Super Bowl. But anyway, let me know. So I don't know if pulling for the Rams is the right way to put it. I wouldn't be mad if the Bengals won. I'm not emotionally invested in the NFL, so as far as like trolling me, if one team or another wins or loses, you can try. It's not going to work. I'm not emotionally invested. I'm not going to get upset no matter who wins or loses. It would be a good story for the Bengals too. I mean, they really haven't even had a decent team since the late 90s when they made the Super Bowl and lost. They've basically been Cleveland for the last 30 years. Cleveland and Cincinnati. What's the deal with that, man? These Ohio NFL teams. How about their college team? Well, I don't know. They've never beat Georgia. I know that, Ohio State. Never beat Georgia. That'd be good this coming year, though. And the other thing, so let me know who do you think's going to win, or who are you pulling for, however you want to say it. Let me know down in the comments below. I'm also curious. There's been a lot of College football fans will trash talk about anything. I think I've made videos specifically about this before. College football fans will literally argue about anything. Fight songs, stadium capacity, how nice the stadium is, mascots, you name it. College fans will literally argue about anything when it comes to their college team and the university, right? What do you guys think about all the arguing going back and forth between Georgia fans and LSU fans because of Matt Stafford versus Joe Burrow? What do you guys make of that? Do Georgia fans, what do y'all think? Well, in this case, it's Georgia fans and LSU fans. Do college fans have a right to brag or boast, or should they brag or boast if one of their former players wins a Super Bowl as a quarterback? And does it matter that it's a quarterback versus any other position? Georgia has had a player in the Super Bowl for something like 21 years in a row. The next closest SEC team to that, LSU, I think at 18 years in a row. So I get it that quarterback is the most high-profile position, and God knows, especially when it comes to college football, I spend an ungodly amount of time talking about Georgia's quarterback situation, so I get it. But what do you guys think about that? If the Rams win, does that give Georgia fans something over LSU? If the Bengals win, does that give LSU fans something over Georgia? Is that a legitimate talking point for college football fans to use? And if the Bengals win, do I get to brag because they also there's Georgia players on the Bengals too. Ex-Georgia players on the Bengals too. Not the quarterback position. Several Georgia players on both teams. So, but I think this will be a pretty good game. I mean, you got a team in there. The Rams made a Super Bowl a few years ago, but the Bengals, like I said, have been completely irrelevant, really for the better part of 30 years, going back to the late 80s. The Icky Shuffle. Anybody remember the Icky Woods, the Icky Shuffle? Back in the 80s, Boomer Esiason was the quarterback, Icky Woods the running back, and every time he scored, he did that little dance, the Icky Shuffle. It's the last time really the Bengals were worth mentioning or talking about. So people always say, they're tired of the same teams, whether it's college or NFL. Now in college this year, you had at least two new teams made the playoffs. You had a couple of the familiar favorites in the national championship game with Georgia and Alabama, but Cincinnati and Michigan at least made the playoffs. Two teams making their first trip to the playoffs. You look at the Super Bowl, yes, the Rams got there a couple of years ago, but haven't had a lot of great seasons. The Rams haven't. Since the Marshall Faulk, Kurt Warner days back in the early 2000s, the greatest show on turf or whatever that was called. And that was in St. Louis. You got to go all the way back to, I think you got to go back 30 or 40 years to find the last time the LA Rams made the Super Bowl, except for, they made it a couple of years ago too. But anyway, so you get the Bengals in there, so the whole crowd that says, well, we want to see some new teams, you get that too. I think it'll be a pretty good game. Whatever you think I know about college football, divide that in half, then divide it in half again. And that's about what I know about NFL football. But I have heard a lot of people talking when they're sort of analyzing this game. The Rams' defensive front versus the Bengals' offensive line. I guess the Bengals' offensive line is considered to be subpar. They're giving up a lot of sacks. Joe Burrow has to do a lot of running around. And the Rams, of course, have one of the best defensive fronts in all of football. I mean, what's the guy's name? Aaron, drawing a blank on his name now. That defensive lineman for the Rams, a bunch of people will type it down below. What is his damn name? Shoot. Can't believe I'm drawing a blank on his name. Aaron, whatever the hell. Not only is he the best defensive lineman in football, he might be the best player in football. The guy, Aaron Donald. Here you go. Aaron Donald. He might be the best player in football. He's definitely the best defensive lineman. He's definitely the best defensive player in all of football. He might be the best player in all of football. He's unblockable. And he's not the only one the Rams have. The Rams' front defensive line and really their front seven is really, really good. And I've heard a lot of people say that is probably going to be the difference in the game. These are people who are picking the Rams. They point to that as like a difference in the game. The Bengals' perceived inability to slow down the Rams, pass rush in particular. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm excited to watch it. I'm going to stream it. I watch the Super Bowl every year. And even if you're not watching the Super Bowl, what time's the game? The kickoff is at what, 6:15 or 6:30? Halftime show will probably be around 7:30 or 7:45, 8 o'clock, somewhere in there. Even if you're not watching the game, don't you have to watch the halftime show? How can you miss Eminem, Snoop Dogg, and Dr. Dre on the same stage together? I mean, it's going to be a great halftime show. You get the haters out there that don't want to watch that for one reason or another. But man, the Super Bowl halftime show is one of people's favorite things to complain about, and it almost doesn't matter who it almost doesn't even matter what the halftime show is anymore. It's like people just have it in their head they're going to complain about the halftime show no matter who it is. I enjoyed The Weeknd last year. A lot of people didn't, but I'm a big fan of The Weeknd. But if you go back 10, 15 years, there's only been a handful, 2 or 3 halftime shows, in my opinion, that were any good at all. So a lot of the criticism has been legitimate. Unless something goes wrong or this ends up, I don't see this being a flop. This seems like it's going to be a good halftime show to me. We'll see. And of course, the commercials. I don't know that the commercials are really that big of a deal. I think this is a situation where the legend of great Super Bowl commercials is actually better than the commercials themselves. Yes, they'll have, new commercials when celebrities will be in them, and they'll have a couple of funny commercials, I'm sure. But I don't know. The whole Super Bowl commercial thing to me is kind of overblown. Anyway, Lou Jr. had his first game yesterday here in town, and they won 6-2. So shout out to Lou Jr. and the Augusta Arsenal for getting a win in their first game of the season. He plays on 2 teams this year, Lou Jr. does. He played his traveling team is the Augusta Arsenal. He's been with them for years. They play mostly in Georgia and South Carolina. But he's in 7th grade, so he's playing middle school soccer this year too. His first middle school game is this week on Wednesday, I believe. Wednesday and Thursday. He's got 2 games this week, Wednesday and Thursday. So little man's been wore out. 2 practices a day. He has his middle school practice right after school. That ends around 4:30 or 5. And then he has Arsenal practice at 6:30. So 2 practices a day. He's in the best shape of his life. Speaking of shape, Slob Olympics coming up soon, March 11th through 13th, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. If you need any details or information about this year's Slob Olympics, email me. I'll be happy to provide you with all the information that you need. It's going to be a great time. We're expecting a big turnout up there in Pigeon Forge this year. Last year was great in Atlanta. I can't wait to do it again coming up in March, this time in Pigeon Forge. The actual Slob Olympics competition itself is on Saturday. I believe that's March 12th. The 11th through 13th is a Friday through Sunday. Most people are going up Friday and staying through Sunday. Some people are going up Tuesday or Wednesday and staying to Sunday. Some people are just coming up Saturday for the competition if they live close enough to Pigeon Forge and then driving home the same day. But I hope a lot of you can make it. There was we probably had 40 or 50 people there last year. You don't have to compete to come either. We had, I think, 20 people competed last year in the Slob Olympics. We had 40 or 50 people there total. So a lot of people come just to hang out for the weekend, get to meet a lot of your favorite college football YouTubers. I'll be there, Pete, BVD, Raj, Big Dog Brett, who won it last year, Huffer, Billy Paul. I hate naming names because then I leave people off. VicTube, Nate the Great, Coach Coop. Trying to get Coach Coop to come. He only lives 30 minutes from there, so he can drive in Saturday, hang out with us, and drive home at night. So if you watch Coach Coop, go to his comment section and tell him you want to see him at the Slob Olympics. But anyway, there's a bunch of people coming. I never should have started naming people because now I done left people off. Rhino, D4, Law Tide, Traveling Fools, X-Wing Sports, Matthew Mayhem. God, I'm still leaving a bunch of people off, and I apologize. It's hard to rattle off a list of 20 or 30 names like that off the top of my head, but there's going to be a bunch of us there. Anyway, go Rams!